What is up, everybody? This is Recap Rewind. I'm J-Lag.
And I'm NB.
And this episode is recapping and reviewing Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 2. And this episode is recapping and reviewing Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 2, and it's called...
A Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
Ooh.
And don't forget, guys, stick around for the ending because we are going to go through our recap roundups, our best moments, our best lines of the episode. And also, guys, be sure to check out on our YouTube channel because we are going to do a reaction video to the promo for next week's episode, which is going to be the Battle of Winterfell. So, stay tuned to the channel for that.
And as always, to our continuing listeners and our brand new ones, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Let us get into this episode, y'all.
Let's do it. I'm excited. I think it was a great episode. I think a lot of people probably are going to say like, oh, like nothing even happened though. But
I know.
I think like it was definitely a needed episode.
Yeah,
it felt
for sure.
like the last night of the world. So
absolutely 100%.
It was necessary for sure.
You know, I was really hoping that it was going to be the Battle of Winterfell. We're going to go right into it this episode. No. But I'm so glad that we got all these conversations. Everything got wrapped up in Winterfell. Like I got everything from this episode in terms of all the relationships kind of getting cleared up for the most part in this episode.
And it cleared up, and also just like you get to see these characters that you haven't even seen at all yet, or you saw them last maybe in the first episode, and they're really getting these conversations that you kind of were waiting for. And it does feel like a goodbye, like because you after next week, like we might not even see them ever again together. So like a lot of these scenes felt like it was the end, like this was it for them. Like
this is the goodbye. This is these are all the conversations. So basically everybody's on the chopping block because everybody had like their own kind of reunions. So I'm just worried that everyone's gonna.
I have to say though, really quickly before we get into it, I do have to say that it was the first time that I could see an aftermath. Do you know what I mean? Like I could, because I think for the longest time I'm like, oh my god, the Night King's gonna come and like everyone's gonna die and like the show's gonna be done. But I don't know. I don't know what it was about last night's episode. It was like maybe because like they legit had a plan. Like Brienne actually had a legit like strategy to like beating the Night King. But also I just think because like there's so many more storylines to tell even after this battle. Like it can't just finish with that. So I'm just excited for the afterwards.
It's going to be really interesting to see how they could carry the rest of the show after this episode.
Yeah.
So let's start from the top.
Yes.
But we're going to break it down just how we broke it down last episode. I hope you guys like that. We're going to start off really quickly with Jaime arriving at Winterfell, which is how the episode ended last episode.
Right.
And he has three major things that he goes through. The first thing is he has the mini trial, with everybody going after him, mostly Dany, saying how he was the Kingslayer, he killed her dad, and that she wanted to avenge his death ever since she found out about it, ever since she was a kid, but now he's staring right in front of her and they're deciding his fate.
And on top of that, I think the big thing too was like she's like, you came here as the Lannister, you were supposed to bring an army with you, and like you didn't even do that. So what the fuck's going on? And in doing that, like I think Tyrion really gets like on the chopping block as well, because she's like, your 100%. Brother's here, but like you're useless now to me too, because like you guys done like screwed this whole thing up. You underestimated your sister. But something really big happens. And it kind of, remember how in the first episode I was like, where's Brienne? Because she's supposed to be at Winterfell at this point. Like, she's supposed to be there, but we never see her. And then finally this week we do see her, and she's like, wait a minute. I love this man. She was basically like, he's a good man. Like, he fought for what's right. He protected me like so many times. And then she even looks at Sansa and she's like, he like made an oath to your mom to protect you. And like, if it wasn't for him, like we wouldn't even be here right now. Like you'd be dead and I'd be dead.
Right. And because of that, Sansa vouches for him as well. So she's like, okay, if you're vouching for him, then he's behind me too.
It's so easy to forget those moments because like
for sure
you just forget it. You're like, oh, because that did that and that linked to that. Like everything connected. And if you kind of forget what happened in the beginning, you kind of lose all of that. But it was nice that Brienne obviously was there and like she like stuck up for him.
She was like our recap rewinder for the episode.
Yeah, exactly.
So she vouches. Dany's obviously really pissed about it, but she'll, kind of hash that shit out later.
The best part was because like her and Sansa were like, at first they were like both cheese at him, and then Sansa was like, oh no, true, like okay, like we need like whatever, leave this guy. And then Dany looks at Jon and she's like, what do you have to say about this? He's like mentally not even there.
Yeah,
he's like,
he's checked out. He's fully checked out.
We need whoever we can get. So like, I'm good. Like he didn't give a shit.
And then he's like, case dismissed. He's like,
yeah,
goodbye.
He's like, I gotta go.
I can't talk to you right now. I'll talk to you later when it's like the most unimportant time possible. Yeah, he was so awkward about it.
So awkward.
And she obviously felt it too. She was like, yo, this is so
she's
so
like, where
tight.
are you going? Like everyone just ran away from her.
So going back to Jaime, he has 3 major conversations throughout the episode, but we're gonna clump them together. The first one is he sees Bran, and he sees him at the I think it's at the Godswood again.
Yeah.
And he apologizes, right? He says, I'm sorry I pushed you out the window.
Well, here's the thing too, and you're right, like even when they're doing his trial, like for sure I was like, oh my god, is Bran gonna tell everyone that like this guy pushed him out of the window? And it doesn't happen there, and I think even Jaime gets surprised. He's like, shit, like this kid didn't even tell anyone that.
But he does say the things you do for love, because they say, it was a pretty tight moment.
It's like, I know what you did. Yeah, Bran's like, I know what you did, but I ain't gonna tell anyone, because like meet me like by the tree afterwards, and I'll tell you what.
I'll talk to you about it.
Yeah. So then they meet at the tree.
It was a really good conversation. I think that, Jaime finally got his, repentance from what he had done. And Bran basically says what we expected him to say, which is, I'm not the same person and you're not the same person anymore. And it only all would have happened because
you
of
pushed
what
me out
you
the
did.
window. Yeah, it's
like
so
it
true.
It all came together because of that reason. So it was really cool for him to just be like, all good. You know what I mean? Basically,
which is kind of like how we expected him to take it. Because like, at this point, he's so removed from who he was as Brandon Stark.
Right.
But I think just for Jaime's like own conscience, like he was just more like, what, like, I'm so sorry for what I did, basically.
Exactly. He's like, I'm not that person anymore.
But I do have to say, and I'll talk about this in my roundups later too, but I love the way that Jaime kind of owned up to everything, and he was like, I'm not going to apologize for what I did when I was like doing my job. Like he's like, we were at war, and he's like, that was my duty to do this, that they asked me to do this, so I did it. Like, and it was he was doing it
for his family. Like he says, we were at war, we were like, doing these things for our families. But like, no shade, like that's what it's all about. The one thing that I did notice though, and just this is going once again back to the trial, like mini trial that they had, was they don't really talk about what his kind of end game is. Like, was he going to be fighting for Dany? Does he pledge his allegiance to Dany? Does he kneel for Dany?
But he did. Like, no?
We don't. Did he?
I don't think he kneeled, but I think he did say like, I'm gonna fight for you. I
pledge my life for you, or whatever. And that was enough, I guess, for her.
Yeah, I don't think he kneeled though.
Yeah, so that's the Bran storyline and that kind of getting resolved. And then again later on, he talks to Tyrion. So he sees his bro for the first time in a long time, and they're finally both on the same side, because the last time they talked to each other, he was trying to barter with Cersei to see if he can meet up with Tyrion to have a conversation, and it was all kind of under the radar. And even at one point, if we remember, Jaime was the one that said that I'm going to kill my brother for killing my dad. So for them to finally come back to Winterfell after all these years, and they even mention it, they say like, the last time we both walked into this hall, we were both two different people, like you were like someone who just wanted to like fuck whores, and I was this golden child, and now things have changed so much, but like we're still back here,
Yeah,
so
for sure.
To see that big change between the two of them, and to see them both together again, like both these brothers, and I think also concluding the fact that they're realizing that Cersei's cray-cray. And one of my favorite moments is when Tyrion says to her, says to Jaime is, I think at some point Jaime says, like, I guess she fooled all of us. And Tyrion says, no, she just fooled me. She never fooled you. Mm-hmm. You always knew who she was.
Yeah, I love that.
You just went along with it. And I was like, wow.
You just accepted her for who she was, and you loved her for all of that. And
exactly.
Like, he doesn't really say anything to that. He was just like, yeah, that's true. Like, I did love her.
He's like, true.
Like,
it's like,
yeah.
It's facts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's their conversation. And then the final big conversation that happens with Jaime this episode is with Brienne. So while he's he's watching everybody, he sees her fighting, and then he goes down to talk to her. And he first of all thanks her for vouching for him.
It was really interesting because that scene was really it caught me off guard because so it's him and Tyrion talking, and they're just like kind of walking and talking, and then Jaime's like eyes kind of like drift away, and he kind of loses his attention on his brother, and I'm like, what is he looking at? Like, what could be so like so intriguing that like he can't listen to his brother? I thought he was looking at dragons. Yeah, I thought the dragons were gonna be there for sure. And then I see him and he's looking at Brienne, and I'm like, holy shit, like that's a really like the way he like looked at her was like pretty major,
pretty deep. So yeah, we can talk about that a little bit later, but do you think that there is any
I don't know
thing on that side of things?
I'm not saying that because of that. I'm just saying like I was just shocked that like I'm like, what's he so like confused about? And he's looking and then he sees her, and I'm like, oh, okay, like he saw her before in the room anyways. Like, why is he so gagged that like she's there? And like, you know,
I mean, I don't think he's gagged, but he's like, now I gotta talk to her because she's like important to my life.
It was a longer look than I expected, and so then that made me kind of think, yeah, I guess.
Because I think also just knowing that the last time they saw each other, I think was at the Battle of Blackwater. No, not Blackwater.
No, it was
the battle with the Blackfish, right? The fort,
River Run or something, maybe.
Yeah, it was at River Run, I think, where the Tullys are, and she was like, he was rowing away, or she was rowing away. And we both saw each other, or I think even in our podcast, we said maybe that's the last time they're going to see each other. So for them to see each other again, I think it's a really great moment. And to know that, you know, Jaime's finally on the right side of history is kind of important.
And like she fully vouched for him, right? So like I'm sure he's like, holy crap. So he leaves Tyrion, right? And then he goes to talk to Brienne. And the main thing that comes out of this is he just says that he's like really proud of her. I thought that you'd be dead, and he actually asks her if he could join her squad when they're fighting, which was a huge moment, I think, because the time, like, you know, it was always flipped for such a long time. And also we have to remember that Brienne is a woman and she's leading an army, and you know, Dany's helping her do that. And yeah, I thought it was really important to see that. And obviously Brienne got really emotional about it as well, which also leads me to think that there's probably some romance there. I do have to say really quickly, the way this episode was directed, it's all about character reactions, and they just
for sure,
like, first of all, big up to the director, big up to the actors, because their facial reactions for me made me feel all types of ways. It cuts to her reaction like in the best moment, and like it's just, guys, like their faces, like not even just Brienne's, like Sansa's and Dany's later on, and Jon's later on, and like there's so many reactions, and I'm like, ugh, like it's just really, really good acting on their part. And also like I think the director was like, he just killed it.
Absolutely. So they have their little reunion. So that's Jaime and his story for the whole episode. He's back. He's ready to attack. He comes back a little bit later at the fireplace, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, after.
So the next thing that I want to talk about really quickly, and then we'll move into what really, really happens later, is Arion Gendry in the beginning of the episode have a quick conversation where she asks for her weapon. And still, he's not taking her seriously. He's like, I didn't even think that you really wanted this weapon. Like, why do you even want to do these things? Like, I fought like so many of them, and they're really, really hard to kill. He's like, they're death, and they're death embodied, and they're really, really hard. Like, I don't want you to be out there. And Arya kind of becomes a badass and starts chucking, these little these arrowheads at the wall. And he realizes that she's a really skilled fighter, and then he's like, I'm gonna go make you that weapon now.
Yeah,
okay,
and also like, let's preface this with like, she sees him like doing his thing, all like sweaty and dirty and like all like manned up, and she like gives him that look, and I'm like, what? I'm like, what?
It's funny because they both have moments like that. Like at one moment, in this moment, Arya is the one that's like lurking and watching her. Later on, Gendry's the one that's like lurking in and watching her, which is like, wow.
And I think they are both impressed with one another for sure. Like their relationship since like the beginning has always sort of been like they're intrigued by each other. I just was so shocked that like Arya's like eyebrow raised. I was like, oh, like sis is like like checking him out. Yeah.
She's in. Yeah. She's in to win for sure.
Yeah.
So we'll move to that later because I'm going to start screaming soon. So the next big thing that we want to talk about is Sansa and Dany.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
So the big conversation that happens here is she wants to make amends with Sansa and how she kind of approached Winterfell and how she really just wanted them to be like sisters. She's like, we're sisters now.
We got off on the wrong foot. I just have to start off this scene because I just love the way this all happened. Sansa was like in the library with like that assistant guy. I don't know what his name is. And Dany walks in and she's like, I need a moment with her. Can you please like dip? And it's just so amazing to see now in season 8 where these badass bitches are like the ones having these power conversations where like in season 1 it would have been like the men coming into the room and being like to the girl like leave, like this is like a man conversation. So I love that it's kind of happening to the women now.
It's flipped. I love it. So she starts off by saying that Sansa says that Jon is, following her everywhere she goes because he's in love with her. So it is expressed at this point that it's like a fish. Like they're pretty much together. Dany even says like, I love your brother and I want to be with him. And, Sansa says he's only following with you because he loves her, because he loves you. And Dany's quick to remind her, like, listen, I'm the one that came all the way up to the north to meet his fam and, bring my dragons over and my army over. So, like, who manipulated who?
My whole life. Because Sansa was like, you manipulated him or, like, you could be because, like, he's in love with your, like, Pete. But, like, what, like, Dany's saying is, like, my whole journey in this effing, like, series has been to get onto the Iron Throne, girl. Yeah. And your brother came in with that big D and, like, now he just, like, swooped me up. And all I can think about is, like, killing these, like, White Walkers for him. So she's like, who's manipulating who? Like, he won me over and I'm here fighting your guys' war, basically. And I was like, that's so effing true. It was just a very honest conversation and very much like, these are my cards. Like, how are we going to get past this?
Yeah. And this is what I wanted. I wanted this from the first episode. And I'm so glad they had the conversation this episode. Yeah. Because it really was like girl talk. They got to laugh about some things. Like they talked about her, they even quickly talked about Khal Drogo.
She's like, the first man I loved and then the second. And then Sansa's like, but who was the first one? And she's like, someone taller. I'm like, I was dead. Like,
I was dying.
It was like the perfect amount of girl talk without getting too cheesy.
Yeah, for sure.
It was really well written. And so basically Sansa like kind of has to swoop in and be like, okay, but like, what about like after this whole war? Like
after the math,
we want the North. They took it from us and we took it back and we're going to fucking keep that shit like to ourselves. Right. So what the F's going to happen? And Dany's like...
And she pulls away because I think they were holding hands. Like she finally got to like a moment of like holding her hand on the table. And then as soon as she says that, she like pulled away and she like got stoic and she just walked away. Like she didn't resolve it. She didn't say anything past it.
Because then someone interrupts them. It's always like, there's always interruptions. I've noticed too. Man. Yeah. And they're like, can you come right now? Like someone's here.
But what do you think her hesitation is giving the North back to the Starks?
I think right now there's just tension, but if you ask me, I think in the end she'll probably give it away. She'll be like, you guys deserve the North, like it's yours, it's been yours for generations, like and so the next scene I do want to connect them because I do feel like they were placed like appropriately. Because I think when Dany sees Theon show up and Theon's like, yo, I'm going to fight for my like Starks. Like I'm going to fight for Winterfell. I feel like Dany seeing that, she realizes that like, holy shit, like they have like everyone on their side. Like they've built these amazing relationships. They're such an amazing family. Like I think in the end, when it comes down to it, she's going to be like, no, you guys should keep the North. And I'll like go over there. Maybe. I don't know.
Which I agree with. But at the same time, she came off so cold. Like she flips a switch. Like she's so like,
but
she's
how
like,
is she
I'm all
gonna
about
react?
this.
I know.
But she could always be like, that's a great idea. Let me just take that back and let me like ponder it and I'll get back to you.
Look, here's the thing, right? There's 5 episodes left. There's no time for that like secondary like reaction. Her reaction right now has to be very blunt and has to be very obvious because like they can't like circle back to it after and be like talking about it. You know what I mean?
But they are setting her up, and we'll talk about this a little bit later as well. But they're really setting her up to look like she's gonna have to make a lot of hard choices that are obviously good choices for us, like as the viewer, to watch, but for her it seems like such a struggle. And I don't know if there's something that's meant to change in her in the next little while, but like to your point, there's these little moments that are happening that she's you know, kind of observing that might change her mind. I don't know.
I think they're setting you up to think that she's going to become like her father. Like she's going to become this crazy ass, like mad queen. Yeah. They're setting you up for that, I think. So that you're like, look, see, like she glitched out. She couldn't even like be nice to like Sansa. Like, but I think in the end, it's going to be where she kind of figures herself out and she like finds her place in all of this, you know?
Right. Anyway, we'll talk about that a little bit later because I want to do deep dive on that. So the big thing that interrupts them is Theon arrives at Winterfell. And it was a huge moment that surprised the shit out of me because
why did it surprise you? Like he said that he was going to come to Winterfell.
I do, but I mean the emotion behind it. I was like fully gagged by it, and I don't know why. Maybe I'm like going through it. I have no idea, but just seeing like
you're on your period. You're gonna get your period,
I'm on my man period. But like we've seen Theon's storyline throughout the entire series, and I cared less about him probably half of the season or half of the series, being like, fuck this guy, get him to die. I don't even care anymore. He lost his balls. He lost his dick. Like, I didn't care. I hated him for so long. But then when he came back to this moment, it all like made sense to me. And I was like, wow, like that is his story. That is what he wanted to do all this time. But that was his story
from the beginning. Like, we already knew that. Like, I knew that he was going to come from like even last season. The reaction was very dramatic. Yes, like Sansa's reaction was like it was really beautiful.
She literally starts crying and she embraces him when he says that he wants to fight for Winterfell, and I was like, ah!
But like, homie, like you should, cute. After all the shit that you did to their family, like you should be fighting for Winterfell.
But he could have made the choice and been like, okay, I'm gonna stay at the Iron Islands, you know, like he could have done that and like said, I need to stand behind my sister, like I'm still with you guys, but I'm not like with you guys, you know.
Yeah.
So for him to really make this bold choice and say like, here's the tiny army that I have, I'm gonna be here and fight for you, and to know like the history that Theon and Sansa had, like, you know, even with them jumping off the wall together and him saving her life the first time around, it made me question, and I'd love to throw this out to you guys as well, and you of course, NB. Did you think that there was any romance around the embrace at all, or did you think
I don't know. Let's
just,
talk
like,
about this after
different?
Because they do have a second interaction like towards the end. So I want to like talk about that, and then we can kind of like break it down.
Okay. But yeah, so like you said, Dany's watching this from afar, and she's watching this relationship kind of in front of her with Theon and Sansa, and realizing that, you know, the Starks have quite a name to them. The next thing that I really quickly want to talk about is Davos is like serving soup to everybody.
He's like the cafeteria lady, basically.
He's the cafeteria lady. And he sees this like Shireen twin where she has a scar on her face, but she's this young little girl, and she says how she wants to fight. And more than anything else, I think it was just a really emotional moment for us to remember what he's lost in all of this, and to see him kind of want this girl to survive through it, you know, because she's like, I want to fight with my brothers, and, you know, my brothers fought. Look, and they died.
My opinion. I think it was super cute. I don't think it was necessary. You guys are wasting so much time. No, it's true. Like, guys, this is like every second counts.
I know.
I totally understand Davos' storyline. I know his backstory. He was heartbroken when that girl died. I totally feel it. I don't need these like third tier like storylines wasting my time in this episode.
You're like, move on. No,
but
well,
it's
true. That being said, it was only like a minute of our time.
Yeah,
but yes,
no, for
it's
sure.
a 60-minute episode, and every minute counts. I totally understand. So there's that, and then Tormund finally arrives to Winterfell. So he gets there from the Last Hearth, and like, you're talking about wasting time. These guys have time to like fucking hug each other and laugh and smile.
But
and
I was like,
move on.
Characters. I know it was a little dragged on, but at least like they're main characters, and like, bro, like they're bringing like information. He's like got like the Night King's like legit gonna be here in the morning.
But like, he should like that's the thing. I thought he was literally gonna run in there like fucking like, I don't even have time to hug you right now. Yeah. We need to fucking talk. We need to do this right now, you know. So that's why I was.
But here's the thing, J-Lag, like this might be the last time they hug. Like, they might be dead next week. So
No, I get it. And at the same time, they haven't seen each other. He probably could have thought that he was dead this whole time, because he was on the wall when it blew up, right?
For sure.
So it's just surprising to see them all kind of come back together. And he found his, brother from the Night's Watch. Like they all got back together, as well as Beric and Darian. So,
and the last thing that Tormund says is like, "Where's the big woman?"
Yeah. This guy.
He is my favorite person of all time.
He fully was like my comedic relief this episode. So then we'll talk about the attack plan. So they're all kind of around the table and they figuring out what's going on. They built this really
cool looking layout of Winterfell.
Yeah.
And I just have to say here, if you haven't seen it already, go on HBO's YouTube channel, because they did a really cool behind the scenes of the episode. And they talk about the actual building of Winterfell, the actual set, and how they were for 7 seasons, all we saw of Winterfell was a courtyard and maybe the crypts. Right. So he's that obviously wasn't going to be enough for this season where the whole season takes place in Winterfell. So they actually had to rebuild the entire set of Winterfell, and they added a next courtyard. They added more top levels. And they talk about building all of that area where they get the food and shit like that. I'm this is so cool. So to see it all on the map layout, and where they're gonna go and where the Night King's gonna come, I was this is super cool.
Yeah,
I don't know. I like it
because I feel like things are that's the thing. To your point, we're not gonna get these moments where they're gonna be able to map shit out next episode, because I think it's gonna be a full on fight next episode.
Yeah. So I think one of the things too is I don't know who asks it, but someone's what the F does the Night King even want? And Bran's I think he wants me. He wants the longest night, and he knows that if he erases me, because I guess Bran is the memory of the entire universe. He's he can accomplish the longest night or whatever. So I guess Bran is the key to what the Night King wants.
Exactly.
So Bran is essentially Bran is essentially going to be bait.
Right.
He's gonna act.
But then they're we're gonna bring all the armies around, so he knows exactly where you are. But at the same time, we're gonna protect you and make sure that you don't die.
I thought that
I don't know. It sounds like a pretty shitty moment.
It sounds very dangerous. And Theon, shout out to Theon, because he was look, bro, I fucked this up. Let me protect you at least. Let me get my army to be there by the Godswood tree, and we'll hide and whatever. So you know what? Just seeing that they have a plan, I was okay, I feel good about this. I feel like they could win this war.
Which makes me feel that Theon's probably going to die for Bran, 100%. Which makes sense.
Everyone's going to die. Everyone
but
is going to die.
Specifically, he's going to die protecting Bran, which is going to be cool.
Yeah.
So he said he's going to wait at the Godswood tree. And Sam essentially jumps in when Bran is explaining, what the Night King really wants. And he says something really interesting. It's very obviously very Sam of him to say. He's yes, it makes sense. He's death is forgetting everything. Without our memories, we are all dead. And I was whoa, I was not wanting a full out TED talk from you right now, but cool. So he says that, and then Tormund is really cute. Once again, he's we're all gonna die, but at least we're all together. And then he winks.
Yeah.
He winks at Brienne.
He's just so cute. And I think it was so true of what this episode it was gonna entail. This is our last night. We're probably all gonna die next week, but at least we have one more night together. All these cute little conversations and little scenes. So it was cute.
And the final thing that I wanted to talk about during the attack plan is the fact that JON fully gives Dany the cold shoulder for the second time this episode.
So the only thing that I want to say about that is that she never really brings it up. Even after when they talk, and we can get into it more, but she never says what's wrong with you? Why are you giving me the cold?
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So it kind of all felt like he was doing it, but then she doesn't really question him about it. So I was eh.
Yeah. I mean, I guess once again, there's no time to have those conversations, right? She's not there's no time for her to get mad, and then he has to go chase her.
I guess I want not that he was gonna chase her, but I wanted her to kind of be petty, to be why are you giving me the cold shoulder?
Why aren't you texting me?
Yeah, you left me on red.
Yeah, because he's because I'm fucking my aunt. That's why. It's a real conversation.
He's oh, you're my aunt. Auntie.
Yeah, so that's the attack plan. And really quickly,
oh,
I don't know how, you're talking about
no,
third
J-Lag,
storylines.
no.
This is like another one I don't care about.
So like it's just crazy how like I love these group chats that happen like after the episode and like me and my cousins were just freaking ripping them another butthole because like it's like, you know, J-Lag, like we know their storyline, we know their lovebirds.
Of course, they love each other. By the way, we're talking about Missandei and Grey Worm. We're just going into our notes.
Like they're gonna die probably, most likely.
Yeah,
I don't care. I really don't care. Stop wasting my time.
Like for one, they fully have this like quick like Missandei moment where she experiences racism from two white kids like who are sitting on the sidelines, and I was like why is that happening?
And they didn't explore the theme after. They're just like had that moment. So I'm like, I don't understand what's going on here. Are you guys just trying to like check off your boxes? Like what's going on? Like, and it's just,
I guess it's just to show that they don't belong in the North,
sure, yeah,
essentially.
But
right?
I think, and that was totally fun. But I think especially in this week's episode, they're like, when we go back after the war, like we're gonna live here, right? And then we're gonna live here, and then I'm gonna bring my army. Like I don't give a shit. Y'all gonna die. Like move on.
If we want to have like a mini love story in between all of this, that has no problems whatsoever.
I don't need it.
Grey Worm and Missandei.
Because I have Jon and Dany. Like I don't need a next love story. Like you guys were too many seasons ago. Like I've moved on.
If you don't have a baby by now, we don't care.
Yeah, like you're out. We're like the grandparents that like want a grandkid.
But I mean, it was kind of cute. Grey Worm is like, I'll take you back to your home country and I'll protect you, blah blah blah, and then that's it. So the next conversation that happens is between Jon and Sam on the wall, and Sam's basically like, so did you like tell her yet or whatever? And Jon's like, no,
not yet.
It's like, this is the hardest conversation I've ever had to say in my life. And so they're ready to talk about it, but then their brother, I forget his name, I'm so bad with names, but their Night's Watch brother comes up at like the worst possible time, and he's like, yo guys, how's it going?
Okay guys, can you answer this for me? And maybe you noticed it too, but I swear I noticed Ghost like in the corner of the frame. There was a freaking like dog there.
Did you see a dog?
So then when I read one of the recaps, so I was like, okay, no, I must be dreaming of it, or like it must not be Ghost, like it's probably like another dog. And then I was reading a recap and they were like, wow, like Ghost fully like came back and he was like chilling in the corner. But I'm like, but that's so weird. Like why wouldn't anyone talk about it or like mention that Ghost was back?
I guess it's not really relevant to the main story. You think Missandei and fucking Grey Worm are irrelevant? Like, who the fuck is Ghost?
No, I swear to God, Ghost is more important.
Half the season.
Ghost is so much more important than fucking Missandei and Grey Worm.
You're like, dogs are more important.
But yeah, if you guys are listening, if you guys noticed it, or if that is even Ghost, like just comment below, because like I really want to know for sure if it is.
It'd be hilarious if there was like a drama between Ghost and the dragons. He's like, you left me for the dragons.
Yeah.
So there's that conversation that happens, and he's like, fuck, I gotta go talk to my girl /
like my
aunt. Auntie. And so the big other scene that happens is this fireplace conversation.
So now it's like nighttime, and like they're basically getting ready for like the last night on Earth,
like the death of life. And it's Tormund, it's Tyrion, it's Pod, it's Jaime, it's Brienne.
It was really cute because originally it was just Jaime and Tyrion, and they're like, like, we're gonna die tomorrow, like, let's get lit. And then they all start coming in, like, I think
it was cute.
They just come in. Brienne's like,
Brienne and Pod come in first,
and like it was just such a cute scene, and we're definitely not ever gonna have this moment ever again.
No. And it was really cool to see them all kind of in a circle, because outside of, I guess, Tormund, everybody was deeply connected to each other at some point in time. Like Jaime was connected to Podrick, and Brienne is now like he's the squire to Brienne, and like
Davos
there's so much
there.
Davos was there, and Tyrion was there, and he like saw Podrick too, and like it was just really cute to see all these connections really nice. Again, like in one place. The big thing that happens in this particular scene is Jaime knights Brienne, which was major for her. Not so major for me. I didn't really care so much, but it was really cute.
You know how I felt about it? I just didn't know that I wanted it. And then when it happened, I was like, I just never thought that she wanted to be a knight. Like I just thought she was like a badass bitch and she was like good with whatever she had. But
well,
then
she
when
even
he
said
was
that
like,
herself.
Yeah,
you know? Like she's like, I never wanted to be a
that's
knight.
That's what I
so
mean.
Like,
so like, I just never thought that I would want it for her. I just assumed that she was just gonna be like some sick like commander. But then when Jaime said like, no, like as a knight, like I can knight you. And this should be your position. And then like the way she looked at Podrick, because she was like, no, like I'm good. Like I don't want it. And Podrick's face was like, you want it. Like
he's like, you want it, Avi.
Like this is what I mean by the reaction shots. Like everyone's reaction made you feel what you were supposed to feel. And
that's the thing.
Like,
her reaction at the end of it all is when she stands up and she does smile. She like really realizes like God, I did want this all my life. She's like, oh my God. She was really happy. And like, of course
Jaime
I'm happy that she got it.
Cute. Like Jaime's like hand was like, I don't know if you noticed, but like it was like shaking. Like when he like lifts up his knife, his sword. Sorry, like it's like he's nervous to like do this for her, right? Because it means so much to him too. I'm sure, you know.
And of course, Tormund was killing me the entire time.
Oh my God, he was on fire.
Well, for one, he was the one that was like, "Who cares if you're a woman? You should be a knight anyway." Yeah, he's like,
"Fuck tradition." He's like, "Do whatever you gotta do, girl." First of all, the reason why he was even there was because he wanted to fuck her. He came to the fireplace to sit beside her to like chat with her.
Fucking cute. And then he tried to like do a standoff with Jaime because he thought that he was like being threatened by him. So he like looks at him straight in the eye and he's like, I'm a giant.
He's like,
I drink milk blood. Like
he's like, you know why they call me Giant's Bane? Because it's so big. He's like, because I had milk from a giant's wife and I sucked on her titties. Like it was just such a man off story. And Jaime was like, okay, like how am I going to compete with that? And he's like, let me knight this girl.
So do you think that there is like a little love triangle happening?
I don't know.
I think it's cute that Brienne has like two people going after her in the first place. I think even if Tormund never gets Brienne, I think he's so in the clouds with her and he's so in love with her that like he'll die for her and I'll like still be happy.
I think if anything, like it's giving her confidence, like it's like giving her something. I don't know if they're all gonna make it out next week, and that's why I can't see them as a love triangle because I'm like they're definitely not all gonna survive. So
true, I don't know. That's some big things. We'll see. Yeah. We'll talk about that later. So the next thing that I want to talk about is Arya and the Hound have a conversation. So finally they have a conversation. They're sitting there on the top of the wall. And
so here's the thing, really quickly before you start. I definitely can see the Hound making it. Like I feel like he's probably the safest character at this point to survive. Because I do feel like at some point he's gonna have to fight his brother, and that's how like their story's gonna end. So we can guarantee that the Hound will probably most likely make it out alive next week.
Yeah, I can definitely see that happening for sure. So he says to Arya, it was kind of cute because he's like, you used to never shut the fuck up when I was with you, and now you can't even say anything. It was just cool to see the relationship years later and how they're kind of sitting beside each other. They found each other in this big castle to like hang out again. And, it was just cool to see them even for like a moment and have that conversation. And I don't think they have a conversation about him apologizing about anything, but he does say something really cool, which is, she says, why are you even here? When's the last time you even fought for anybody else? And then he says, I fought for you, didn't I? And I was like, whoa. I know. I was like, so wow. Sad. Like, there was a real that was a real relationship between the two of them for that period of time.
Yeah.
And then it gets broken up by Beric because Beric comes upstairs and then Arya's like, I'm not spending my last night with you fucking losers. Bye.
I was like, go get it, girl.
So she does. This is the moment that I've been waiting to talk to you about, girl. This is like the moment of the entire episode.
Let's preface this with really, I have been Gendry's like biggest supporter. Like this entire time, the second he dipped, he dipped in the water, I was like, this guy's coming back to do something. Like either to like kiss Arya, fuck Arya, save the world, become king, like whatever it can be, like he's gonna do it.
He's gonna do it.
And he did. And he did something.
So first he brings her like his weapon, like the weapon that he made. And it's a sick like staff with a thing at the end of it, and she's all excited, and he's like, ooh, nice.
It's basically like a souped up version of like what she had when she was blind, right? Like that little like stick thing.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah,
exactly. Like that's her like weapon of choice.
It's just like more souped up now.
Yeah, and it has like the thing to kill the White Walkers.
Dragon glass, yeah.
So then it quickly turns into a conversation about like how many girls like he's like fucked in the past like let's 2 years.
Let's really talk about this. So he's like, yeah, you know, like the red woman tried to kill me, like, and then Arya's like, but wait, why? And I totally forgot that she didn't know that he was because like obviously he didn't know either at that time when they met, but he was like, I'm Robert Baratheon's like bastard son, and so she wanted to take my blood, and she's like, what? Like she was so gagged by that, and he's like, yeah, like she put leeches on me and like whatever, and then Arya like doesn't even care. She like turns it around. She's like, was that like your first time? And he's like, yeah, with like leeches on my body. She's like, no, with a woman. He was like, what?
And then he like fully has this conversation.
This is gonna go somewhere.
Like, this is gonna go in deep. And I was like, holy shit. She like, first I was like, is she like low-key jealous of him for like all the like women that he's fucked before?
For sure.
And so I was like,
she asked him. She's like, how many women then? Obviously, like, you know. And he's like, I don't know. He's like, maybe like, I don't know. She's like, yeah, you do know, asshole. Like, say it. And
yeah,
like,
you know
I
the
don't
number.
Know, like 3. And then she's like, okay. And then how does it start?
she's literally like, she says, well, I just want to know how it feels before I die. And she's like, you're going to have sex with me right now. Like, basically, like, she doesn't even, like, give him a reason to get out of it or, like, any explanation. She literally jumps on his dick.
He's not going to get out of it. And, like, yeah, like, she fucking, like, rides him, like, on top. And she's, like, the best part. The best part is, like, she's like, I'm not the red woman. Like, take off your own pants. I was like, yeah. Damn. Like, I was like, get it, so girl. Grown up.
I was like, holy shit.
F.
Well, for one, we like saw like side boob from Arya Stark.
Okay,
I was like, holy shit, they're like going full out nudity.
Can I ask you how you felt about all of that?
Okay, so I said this last episode because you were like, they need to fuck each other, whatever. And I was like, no, she's so young. She's like a little baby. She's like 4 feet tall. And
Did
then
I really say that? Damn.
Yeah, well, you're like, what's going to happen with them two? And I was like, no, like, I guess I see it. But at the same time, like, I also see them as brother and sister. Like, they have such a brother and sister relationship. Like, he's protective of her. But then when I saw this moment, I was like, what? I was into it. I definitely jumped into it. Like, like with feeling that it could be a little awkward for a second, but I think they felt it was kind of awkward for a second too, because it is kind of surprising. He was shocked. Well, like, but she didn't care.
Also, she lives in Winterfell. Like, homegirl has a bedroom, and like she fucks him on like a bag of sacks. Yeah, like, go to your room.
Like, she's like, I ain't got no time to go up to my bedroom. You're gonna fuck me right here. So she like jumps on this pile of hay and like jumps on his dick at the same time.
Okay, so here's the thing.
Crazy. What did you think?
You're right. This entire time, I think I definitely wanted them to kiss. At the very least, like, I wanted to kiss. I wanted her to like whatever, like have a boyfriend for like a second. I didn't think that it would ever like be like this, like she would just fuck him. I just never thought of it because like you're right. Like I've always seen her as like this little girl. Like she really is still like this little kid who like had this crazy journey, but she's still been a young girl. And then but to see her start stripping, I was like, oh my god, I don't know if I'm ready for this. Like, I don't know if I'm mentally, like, emotionally ready for this. Like, she's like my little sister. Right. And then like I have to say they did it very tastefully. Like, it was really really like well done. She shows her butt, but like you don't see her tits or anything like that. So I'm like, okay, good.
You see like side boob.
You
for
see
sure.
side boob, which was fine. And like they don't fuck for too long. Like she like hops on and then like it was like done. So I was like, okay.
And then it cuts to
yeah. I don't think I could have handled like grinding
a
and
full
like
sex moment.
Yeah.
I really like the way that they did it as well. And the thing is too, we have to like, I asked myself, how else was this gonna go? You know, she's not a dainty like dame like Sansa who's like, ooh, like woe is me, like I just need a prince to sweep me off my feet. Like, she's been this badass bitch this whole time. So for her to take control of the situation and be like, take your pants off, I'm gonna fuck you right now, I was like, okay. I'm like, I'll go
it's
with
like the end
this.
of the
I'll run with
world.
this.
Like, homegirl wants to have sex. Like they're gonna die tomorrow probably. So like, it all made sense in like the the dramatics of the episode. Like it all fit together. Because
listen,
like a kiss
Tormund
was
trying all episode, and I'm glad at least one person was
Seriously,
like, "Listen, the end of the world. It's the end of the world. Let's fuck." You know what I mean?
Because like I actually did want him and Brienne to fuck too, for sure. Like I was like, she needs to get it into,
for sure.
But that didn't happen.
Dany and Jon, like I wanted like Theon and Sansa, maybe. Who knows? Like
you wanted like
I don't
a sex
even know
montage.
how that would work. Like they should have just had like a Riverdale sex montage, but they didn't. Okay, final moment to talk about.
Yeah.
That we should talk about because it was fucking serious.
Awkward.
First of all, awkward is like the understatement of the year. But the one thing that I will get pissed off at is I guess the writers and the way that they paced out the show. But they literally waited to the last fucking minute. I knew exactly that it was gonna like not be a complete conversation. It pissed me off. But that being said, it was the most opportune time to tell his truth and like explain his story right in front of like Lyanna Stark's statue. So I just thought that the way that they set it up, like just visually and how it all kind of comes together was so appropriate. I just wish it happened like in the first 5 minutes of the episode.
Yeah.
So anyway, so he's out there, he's in the dungeons and he's just like sad or whatever. He's looking at his Lyanna statue and Dany's like, "Hey boy, hey." And then
like right there, I would have liked if she said like, "Why are you avoiding me? Like what's like, oh, you're hiding something." Anything. Like some sort of comment where like he's been hiding from her like the whole episode.
But I do love the fact that she like literally links her arm. She's like, "Oh, your aunt." Yeah. Like she's like, this is like, cute.
Who that be? Who that be over there? And he's like, that's Lyanna Stark. Like he
couldn't even explain properly because he's like, because then she tells her side of the story, and that's why I loved it so much, because she adds to the history and then they like disprove each other. So first he says, Lyanna was this beautiful woman, and then she starts talking about her brother Rhaegar.
She's like,
and how he was this like, she's like, I never knew him, but I heard that he was such a kind man, but then he kidnapped her and raped her. And then Jon's like, no, they loved each other and they got married and they had a child. And it's me. It's me. Like,
he's
I'm
like,
a fucking bastard child.
Like on her deathbed. He's like, Rhaegar like died. He like died at the Trident, whatever. And then he's like, she died she died giving birth to a baby boy. And at this moment, it cuts to her face for the rest of the scene, basically. And she's taking it all in. And as soon as he says like baby boy, like she starts breathing like heavily because like she notices that like, oh shit, like this is gonna go somewhere crazy. And then he's like, and like Ned took that baby in as his own son. She's like, and then he's like, and the baby is me. He's like, my real name is Aegon. She's like, what? She's like, her acting was so effing on point.
She's so
her eyes are like fluttering and like she's like hyperventilating because she's mentally processing this information that we've suspected for 8 fucking years of our lives. So she finally hears the words and she's like, oh my God, like you're the male heir to like what? First of all, she questions the authenticity of it all. She's like, who the F told you this? Like, how do you even know it's true? She's like, how convenient. Your best friend and your brother are the ones that gave the information. Yeah. She's like, wow, what are the chances? He's like, no. He's like, I believe it. It's true. I was like, why is he so confident all of a sudden? Like, he just had a last episode. Like, why do you believe it so much?
But I mean, I guess, like,
whatever.
He has to like tell her the truth. Like, he literally just fucked up their relationship. So
then she's like, oh shit. She's like, that means you're the male heir. Like, you actually have more claim to the Iron Throne.
And then it holds on his face, which I thought was amazing. Like you said, the directing was amazing for that reason, was because it held so long on his face as she's saying this. She's like, that means that you're the heir to the throne, you're the male heir, and da 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 da. And he like almost is about to say something after that, and then of course the fucking bell rings. It's like da da da.
So,
and
but
they
also,
can't finish
like,
the conversation.
They can't finish the conversation. But it's interesting to note that, like, when she does say, like, what? Get the fuck out of here. He's like, I wish it weren't true. And so when he says that, it really makes you understand that, like, he doesn't want all of this. Like, this man was, like, legit in love with her. And, I think he doesn't he doesn't care to sit on the Iron Throne, but they can't say that. They have to make us wait another 2 motherfucking episodes to probably hear him say those words.
To have that resolve. Yeah. But that's the thing. I feel like if we had that one extra 5 seconds, he literally would have been like, I'm so confused. I don't care about the throne. All I want is to make sure that we're together. You know what I mean?
I know, but maybe he doesn't know that yet. Like, maybe he's even contemplating, like, how do I do this?
Oh, interesting.
Like maybe he doesn't want to fight her, but like, maybe he's like, but what do I say now to everyone that's following me?
Right. But it is almost like he was shocked by how she like went to the completely different direction.
For sure.
Like,
that too, probably.
I was kind of surprised that she didn't say like, what's going to happen to us? She was like, the throne. I was like, wow, you have your priorities.
Yeah.
I guess they're straight. I mean, if you really think about it, she wanted to be a boss ass bitch. She didn't get into that position like thinking about another man. So
you have to also remember, like, this girl for 8 freaking seasons, her only mission has always to been on the Iron Throne. Like, that's like been her mission. So I feel like she's just innately used to where how and where that's gonna take her.
It's true.
So anything else is kind of like, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. I really don't think they're gonna fight. I think the show and the meaning of the show has to be way bigger than that. So
for sure,
they'll work it out. I have confidence. Just mentioning quickly, like, the episode didn't end right there. Like, it ends with the horn going off. Tyrion, it cuts to Tyrion, and he's looking out into the distance, and we do see like the whole mother effing army looking onto Winterfell, which was such a creepy scene. Yeah, because they're finally here, and next week's gonna be the big battle. So that's how
kill everybody. Yeah. So that was crazy.
Yeah, just some honorable mentions on the side. Like, you're right. Like, Lady Mormont and Jorah just like having that cute little like argument.
Yeah.
And then also, Sam and Jorah talk about Jorah Mormont.
Like.
And like, he gives him like the sword. He's like, yo, like, your dad like taught me everything. So Sam gives the Tarly sword to Jorah, which was cute.
Yeah, which was cute. I thought it was nice.
Yeah.
And let's get into some. Before we finish and go into our recap roundups, I really want to. We threw it out to our socials, and we had a bunch of discussion questions, which were fantastic, and I want to talk to NB about them online. Well, my question, this was from me, was will Dany be the final villain? Do you think that she would sabotage JON in the war against the Night King just to kind of reclaim her throne?
No, I think they're gonna probably make you feel like that might happen, that like they're gonna fight maybe in the end, like she might be the final villain. But I can't imagine this show ending off like that. And I think I would be really upset if they made her the final villain. So I can't even like fathom that. I don't want to like see that.
Like, imagine, just take this in. Okay, this is what I was imagining, and my mind was going wild yesterday. But imagine she fucking like they beat the Night King at Winterfell, but now it's like the race to the throne. Now she's like, I need to make a final decision. She goes and tries to burn JON, thinks that JON is dead. She flies all the way back, but then he can't burn because he's a Targaryen.
Yeah, that's okay. I definitely think that
would be cinematic as fuck.
I think that she's gonna try to make some power move, but I think this bitch is gonna get pregnant, and I think that pregnancy and that baby is gonna put a halt to everything that she probably has planned already. But yeah, I definitely think she might want like do one more thing to him, and then it's gonna be too late. She's gonna be like, "Fuck!" Like, he's like my baby daddy. Like, I can't screw this guy over.
Right. Another question was it just me, or was Tormund thirsty as fuck for Brienne? The answer is absolutely. Someone wanted us to talk about Arya getting some dick. We already talked about it. And then we had a bunch of questions from Faye A. I think that's how you say their name. But one of them was asking us the question, Jaime and Brienne or Tormund and Brienne?
Oh my God. That's so hard. I'd probably choose Tormund and Brienne because I feel like Jaime needs to die in a very heroic and tragic way. He's come to the end of his journey. He's done some badass shit. He needs to go. I can definitely see Tormund and Brienne having some cute ass babies.
100%. I definitely agree. I'm always down for this guy. He's like my favorite person. Yeah. He just makes me laugh. Another question, I guess it's very similar. Do you think that Dany is capable of killing JON?
Definitely think she's capable. I don't think she will.
Okay. I think that she's definitely capable of it as well.
Yeah.
They wanted to talk about Tyrion's fall from grace, and was Dany really ready to finish Tyrion just because Jon was airing her out and not like ignoring her the entire episode. I don't think that they were connected, but it was pretty harsh for her to like go in on Tyrion pretty hard. But I mean, at this point, like, what are you gonna do?
I mean, here's the thing: he fucked up really hard. Like, and he
fucked up major.
This is not his first mistake, and the fact that it happened with his family, he should have the best intel on his family. Like, that's your effing 100%. Sister. You should be on point with that all the time. Yeah, like he did. He fucked up big time.
He really fucked up. Yeah, absolutely. Did Arya really have sex with Gendry, or did they really have to sex Gendry? I mean, yeah, it's the end of the world.
It was the end of the world.
Did she have to?
She didn't want to die a virgin. So
she didn't want to, but she's like, yeah, I gotta do this shit.
Yeah, no, that was fun.
And we have another question from @RobVanHorn saying, why is Dany tripping? Either way, her kid is the heir and it stays in the fam. Which is a good point. You just said it. How
exactly. But she doesn't know that she's pregnant currently. Out? But that's true. I think when she finds that out, and if it is a boy, then she's like, good. She'll be like, let's raise this kid to be like the next king, and then Jon will be like, I'm down. What did you think about Sansa and Theon? There's one more question there. Do you think that they're lovers in the night?
I really don't know what to feel. We talked about it, you and I, offline last night, but I don't know. I think I'd love to see them together, because I think that in terms of matching people together, I would definitely see that happening. But at the same time, like, it's too late for a romance, so I'm just like, it's probably more of like a sister brother moment, and I'll take it for what it was. It was just a very deep moment between two old siblings who finally like reconnected, you know?
My opinion on this all is like, we didn't talk about the last scene, but they do have one more final scene at the end of the episode where like they're eating and they look at each other like very like longingly, and I was like, wait, what? So that kind of threw me off, because I was like, what does that mean? But here's the thing. I think if we started this entire series and they had a cute relationship as children, like if he tried to flirt with her in the beginning, or like she flirted with him, she's like hee like Theon, and then their whole story got like whatever, I think then I'd be like, okay, there's still something there. Like he always like liked her, or she liked him, but there was never that, and there was never that romantic element to their relationship. And I really do see them as brother and sister. Like, I don't know. I just can't see it. And you're right. Like, it's the end. Like, we're at the end now. Like, is this really going to happen now?
Like he's likely going to die. So if there was romance, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. And I think he's going to die like a motherfucking hero. Like, I feel like he's going to save Bran. I feel like he's probably going to save Sansa. Like, I feel like he's really going to do his part before he finishes. And
I also just like, I also don't see her as like someone who's sexual, who's like, let's all go have sex. Also, he can have sex, so it's almost ironic that they ended up together.
But it's not even just the sex part. I know, but it's not just that. I think that she feels like, I would see it as like this, like, I've known you my whole life. You came back for me. You protected me during the whole Ramsay thing. Like, there's so much more to it. But again, I don't think there's time for that. Like,
all right. Speaking of no time for that, we got to get into our recap roundups.
Recap roundups.
Best moment. My best moment has to be the crypt scene. I think just seeing Dany's reaction when Jon tells her that he's a Targaryen, that his name is Aegon, like her acting was so effing on point. Every single flinch
slow
of like
zoom.
Her eyes,
like,
her breathing. I was like, oh my god, like I felt it. Like it was just, it was my best moment for sure.
Major moment. Another major moment that I loved was Arya basically fucking Gendry, because I was just
not
for
basically,
one fully
really.
gagged, like actually. But I wasn't only just gagged. I was just like clapping at my screen the entire time. I was like, get it, girl. And she was such a badass, and I was like oddly into it because I didn't know how I felt about it, but seeing it, I was like, okay, I'm into this. Let's do this.
Necessary. I loved it. I didn't know how I was gonna feel. You're right. I'm glad I didn't see any titties, any humping. I'm glad they cut it off where they did. I'll just say that.
Agreed.
WTF moment. My WTF moment, I think, has to go to Brienne being knighted. And it's not that it wasn't like amazing to see it. I just didn't know that I wanted to see it. And so it caught me off guard in that moment because I was like, wait, what's he doing? Like, oh, she's wanted this whole time. Like, and she obviously didn't. She didn't think that she wanted it. But I think, like, it was such a duh moment for me to be like, of course, this is how her story could possibly end. Like, she's being knighted. She's being recognized by all these men who are sitting at the fireplace. And they're like, yes, girl, like, you just got knighted.
Get it.
And then I watched the scene again, and then I started to cry. Because I think what he says, like, when Jaime, like, I just want to read it out. When he knights her, he says, in the name of the warrior, I charge you to be brave. In the name of the father, I charge you to be just. In the name of the mother, I charge you to defend the innocent. And I was like, holy shit, like, she is everything of that.
Wow,
like, she encompasses
really
those words, like, to the T. And it just caught me off guard. It was such a beautiful scene that I didn't think I needed or wanted. And then I got it. And I was like, whoa.
Because to your point, even reading out those words, you know, like, she has been a knight. Based on those words, she's been doing that her this whole time. You know, defending the innocent and all that. So, it was a great moment.
And, like, in the name of the mother, I charge you to defend the innocent. Like, in the name of, like, Catelyn Stark, you know? Like, it kind of, like, brings it all back. It's so cute.
100%. My WTF moment is the horn honking at the end, because I was like, fuck you. I was so pissed, and I was like, oh, God damn it. Of course, this show's going to end this way. But, yeah, that was my WTF moment. I know it's a bit weak, but I was, like, annoyed.
MVP.
So my MVP is gonna be Arya for just, like, getting that good dick. I'm like, get it, girl. And she was very, like, about it. She was like, let's do this. I got my weapon. Let's have my sex because I am still a virgin. Like, let's do this. Yeah, and for sure. I loved it. She was just giving me everything this episode.
I'm gonna have to say my MVP is gonna be Jaime. This was definitely, like, it felt like his goodbye episode. You know, just from standing up for all the shit that he did. He owned up to it. He was like, I had to do those things. It was war. Like, they asked me to do it and I did it. I'm not going to apologize for those things, but I am going to apologize for, like, the shitty things that I did. Yeah. And he does, to Bran especially. And then, you know, he does the whole thing with Brienne, and it was just really beautiful. So, yeah.
For sure.
LVP.
So my LVP is going to go to Tyrion, because I just think that he lost everything this episode in terms of the faith that Dany had, and I am kind of shocked. Everybody's told him already, like, how stupid he was. Sansa was last episode, she was like, you're a foolish man, and this episode Dany says it again, and, like, this time he actually, like, confesses. He's like, true, I, like, fucked up really hard. So he was just an idiot, and I don't know what his, like, role is anymore if he isn't, like, a major fuck up. Like, what's he gonna do now? You know what I mean? I mean, they do have a quick redeeming moment at the very end where she's like, I need you if, like, I survive, but also I'm like, but do you really want to take his advice anymore? Because he's, like, done fucked up so many times already.
Yeah, that's true. My LVP is going to go to someone who hasn't been in the season yet, but my eye is on that bitch, because I know that Red Woman, Melisandre, is going to come back. Because the last time we saw her was with what's his face? Varys. She's like, I'm dipping right now, but, like, you best believe I'm going to die on this soil. So I'm coming back. Yeah. So I'm still waiting for her. I feel like her story has to connect somehow to this whole White Walker storyline, because, like, she doesn't fit in King's Landing. So I'm curious just to see how she's gonna come back. When is she gonna come back? What's she gonna do? I feel like she needs to do something big.
She's got to do some, like, magic shit. Like, maybe she brings maybe she's, like, the one that brings, like, Viserion back to Daenerys. Who knows?
Maybe.
Like, that would be amazing.
Really quickly, because she follows the Lord of Light, which is the same thing that guy, what's his name, Beric?
Beric Dondarrion, yeah.
With the sword. He's been brought back to life. Like, he comes back to life, like, 10 different times. So you're right. Like, I wonder if there's something in their religion where, like, she can bring people back, or you're right, like the dragon.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
We'll see. I hope so. God. That'd be amazing if that's her role on all this.
The best line.
My best line is gonna go to Jaime when he's talking to Tyrion, and he's like, and they're talking about Cersei, and he goes, she's always been good at using the truth to tell lies, because it's when Tyrion asks, like, was she lying about the pregnancy too? Like, is she actually pregnant? Like, she has a baby? And Jaime's like, no, like, the baby's real. Like, she's
so pregnant. That is confirmed. We got the confirmation.
Yeah, so it's confirmed. She's not lying. And I think it was just a really, like, beautiful moment of like Jaime saying like that shit's true, but like she's still making lies because of it. Like she's just fucked. Like
she's just fucking crazy.
Yeah.
My best line is gonna go to Sansa when she's talking to Dany in the beginning, and she says, "Men do stupid things for women. They're easily manipulated."
Yep.
And I was like,
yup.
that's the truth.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the end of the episode, guys. Thank you so much for all of your questions and your discussion points. Make sure you guys are doing that for every episode. We're going to be reaching out to social, but if we don't, then just make sure you guys are connecting with us because we will talk about it in our next podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take this time to thank our patrons of the episode, our lit rewinders, Tina Ann, Sarge, Serena, and Kate. And our mommy rewinders, we got Becca, Sarah, Tamala, and Taya.
Aw, thanks, guys. And if you would like to join our Patreon family, check us out at patreon.com/recap_rewind. If you join, you'll get access to all things Recap Rewind, exclusive content, and updates.
And also make sure you guys are checking us out on all of our socials, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iTunes, and Facebook. Make sure you guys are staying connected to join the conversation. Like, subscribe, follow, review, and comment to stay engaged with Recap Rewind. Thanks for watching.
Bye.